Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit north node sextile or trine one's natal Mercury. Now, this transit could manifest in one's future destiny, what you're directed toward, what you're learning and aspiring to be, being in harmony with your communications, what you're learning, assimilating information. So the thing about, this is a very auspicious transit, for what you're trying to do, for where you're moving toward, because Mercury is about learning, it's assimilating information. Again, the North Node is about what you're learning and aspiring to be. Wherever you're going toward and what you feel your future lies in during this transit, it might be easier to gather information regarding it. If you have the transit north node, say in Aquarius, your future may be tied in with astrology or astronomy, computers, innovation, meteorology, aviation as some examples. Um, it can be where you feel drawn and where you feel your destiny may be connected. It could be some form of communications at this time, and you're likely able to articulate better what you want to do, where you want to be going at this point in time, where you feel you're moving toward and directed to. Uh, it's a time as well where siblings, cousins, and neighbors may be more in agreement with what you want to do, where you feel at this point, you're directed toward your mission, your purpose. At this point in time, the transit north node says in Scorpio, that mission or purpose may be tied in with locksmithing or psychology, the occult, which includes astrology, insurance, recycling, investigation, as some examples. It can also be a time, when you have this transit as well. Again, it's a time when you can verbalize, really better where you feel you're going toward, where you feel your future lies. If there's any issues that you need to confront and address, it's better time to understand, what you need to do. Formulating a plan in order to do this. Mercury is connected with analysis, so it's also an opportune time to analyze where you feel need to be going toward, at this point in time of the transit. And it's really just a very good transit as far as, if you're trying to, just to gather information just in general. It can be very positive and auspicious for getting the information you need. If you're doing some, investigation, or you're researching on the internet, it's more of an opportunity, I would say, to get that information, and where you have less, roadblocks and obstructions in doing so, less diversions or distractions in order to obtain that info at this point in time, more so than usual. And it could be also a time, as far as, communication goes, people that may be, prominent, play an integral role in your future. The communications at this time with those people, I would say, would be more harmonious than usual, and there'd be less conflict or misunderstandings in what's being said, less ambiguity in the communications. Uh, Now, if there's anything, Mercury is connected anatomically with the hands, the arms, the nerves, breathing, and lungs. So if there's anything anatomically, that could be, that you might be going through, any issues anatomically connected with the planet Mercury, what I just described, this could be a positive time to address and confront, those issues if you need. Could be something simple, making a doctor's appointment and being able to be seen with less delay. Um, it can be, if you've been procrastinating or hesitating on any of those matters that I just described, that anatomically corresponds with Mercury. This could be that time where you may be more likely to go and to address those issues at this time. If it's reached a point where it's very serious, Um, like say if you have some nerve damage in your hands and or arms, and it's prohibiting you from driving, as an example, it can be more of a time where you can, where you've reached a point at least where you need to do something about it. And again, it's less likely to have diversions and distractions in doing so. Now, if there's something that needs to be done, that involves local transportation, short journeys, this could be a time where you might be, you may be more directed toward doing something, in connection with that, where you might, feel like at this time you're more required, to do things that are associated, with short journeys. You might be feel like you need to take more trips. It could simply getting more interaction, with people in your, your neighborhood, as an example. But this could be a time where taking, short journeys in your area could be, it could be more beneficial to where you're going toward. At this point in time, it could be meeting up with people that might, by doing this, by meeting up with people that play an integral role in your future and where you are moving toward. And it's a time too to understand, when you have this transit, keep in mind the North Node is about, the positive, attributes of the placement that you're trying to develop. And it could be a time where it's more of an having the understanding of what needs to be, those qualities, those attributes that need to be developed. If the transit North Node, say, is in Aries, it could be, developing more, aggressive, assertive qualities, being, more confrontational, standing up for others. If you have the transit North Node in Aries, say it's in the 11th house, it could be, you might feel, drawn toward, fighting for, human rights. Or if the transit North Node in Aries is in the 12th house, it could be fighting, for those, that are less fortunate, such as the hungry, the oppressed, the homeless, the impoverished, and have more of a mental understanding, of this, what needs to be done, and understanding what you're going to be doing, in connection with the transit. So this is again a very positive transit for understanding, what needs to be done, in your future. And it could even be where your future, may be, tied in, doing something, that requires manual dexterity, such as auto or refrigeration mechanics. Mercury is connected with dexterity. Now, another way this transit could manifest, it could also be very positive for moving toward, which is a North Node, simply in assimilating information, which is Mercury. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Mercury is in Leo, it could be learning something, connected with creativity or cardiology, something involving the heart, entertainment, acting, as some examples. And this transit also can be auspicious to pursue the purpose, which is the North Node, and associated could be with manual dexterity in the hands, and that's Mercury. If the natal Mercury is in Virgo, say, it could be doing something with, could be working on cleaning machines, maybe fixing, repairing them, or even, or some kind of sanitation or sanitizing machines. Those, it could be, hands-on work, so to speak, no pun intended, using, the hands somehow, where the hands are prominent, repairing those machines. And also too, people prominent in your future, which is the North Node, may be more in harmony and agreement with, what you're communicating at this time. And let's say, which is Mercury. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Mercury is in Scorpio, it could be communicating in a very incisive manner, and probing, and also, could be communicating about, the occult, which includes astrology or insurance or recycling, or digging deep into things, going beyond surface and superficiality, going beyond subterfuge, And those things can be where, you know, those people may be more in harmony with that way in which you're communicating at this time. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now another thing is that this transit can be propitious for what you're learning and aspiring to be, which is the North Node, being assisted by siblings, cousins, neighbors, which is Mercury. Let's say if the natal Mercury is in Aquarius, it could be just simply learning to be, you know, more unobtrusive, considerate, altruistic, selfless, being more of a humanitarian, or it could be somebody that might be, you know, proficient in an Aquarius field, you know, such as computers, astrology, astronomy, you know, innovation, aviation, meteorology, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.